We want to welcome everybody to the Grit and Grind right here on Studio 67 NCC YouTube. Your host, Sean Lucas, getting you ready for week one. It's finally here, ladies and gentlemen, week one of high school football. So many games we got to talk about, but we're missing somebody. There's a vacancy over here. My co-host, the other host of Grit and Grind, Deryl, could not be here today. He's on vacation, but he has sent in some good information. He sent in his picks, and he's definitely going to be in that comment box. And he told me, don't be surprised you see some of his comments pop up on the screen today as we're going through the show right here on Grit and Grind. So many things we got to talk about. No reason to keep waiting on it. Let's jump right into the marquee matchups of this week on the Grit and Grind. And the first one, let's go to Rocky Mounts. The Rocky Mount Griffons, welcome to the Grit and Grind on week one. This is an old rivalry right here, and it's a rivalry we're starting to see every year that these two teams play each other in week one. Only one thing separates them is the Nash Edgecombe County line. One school's in Tarboro in Edgecombe County. One school, the students live in Edgecombe County, but they don't go to Rocky Mount no more. But it's Rocky Mount, Tarboro, and let's talk about this Tarboro team right here. Last year, they went undefeated till they got to the state championship where they played Mount Airy. In Mount Airy, in that state championship game, they lost, but this team was on a mission. And if you go back and look at what Tarboro's done over the season, the first year, Eastern champs, state runner-up. The season before that, Eastern champs, state runner-up. The season after that, 21, Eastern champs, state champs. 2020, East champ, state champ. 2019, Eastern champ, runner-up. 2018, East champ, state champ. So this team has been getting to the playoffs for many years right here in this game. 8 state championships that Tarboro has won, 6 under Coach Jeff Craddock. They making history, but all that's history. It's a new era now. It's a team that's focused. A lot of people are coming back on this team. Cameron McDowell Moore, Mason Satterfield, Caden Avery. All three of the starting running backs for Tarboro are back in the purple and gold for Tarboro. So this is going to be a good season for them. And this is a good test against a Rocky Mount team that went 3-7. They were 4th in the conference, and they lost in the first round to Scotland. And we always say this Rocky Mount team, just every year they get better and better. They take good strides under Coach Battle. They get the offense going. They get the defense going. A lot of players are coming back. The Grit Player of the Week was Travaris Parker. He had 43 tackles last season. That's the most he had this whole season playing in Rocky Mount. You got Harrison, Lee Jones, Silver coming back to play quarterback, running back. Dance, Jack McCallum, 52 tackles as the middle linebacker. On the offense, it's the same people from Rocky Mount we saw last year. Mitchell, Harold, and Silver all ran for 2,200 yards last season. This is going to be a good game right here. Me and Deryl both got a pick on this game. Can't make it right now because we got 3 more we need to talk about in our marquee matchups right here on the Grit and Grind. Stay tuned. More games coming up on the Grit and Grind.
The Nash Community College Firefighter Academy is the premier fire training academy in our area and prepares each fire candidate for a successful career in the fire service. The Firefighter Academy instills discipline, character, professionalism, teamwork, integrity, credibility, and the physical ability, knowledge, and skills to perform as a professional firefighter. The Fire Academy holds a high reputation for producing well-trained and highly employable graduates. The 19-week Firefighter Academy is offered annually in February and August, and the Academy accepts applications year-round. Upon successful completion of the Academy, graduates earn NC Firefighter 1 and 2 certifications, Hazardous Material Operations certification, Incident Command System certifications 100, 200, 700, and 800, Emergency Vehicle Driver certification, Rapid Intervention Crew certification, and CPR. For more information on starting your firefighter career through the Nash Community College Firefighter Academy, visit nashcc.edu or call 252-451-8480.
And now we're back on the Grit and Grind. It's time for game 2 of our marquee matchups right here on the Grit and Grind at Studio 67. We don't have to go that far. We had a close one right here in the backyard. This one is similar in our backyard. It is the Bruins of Beddingfield. And thank you, Beddingfield, for the helmet. Versus one of the oldest rivals, the Fike Golden Demons, right here from Fike. This right here is an old rivalry in Wilson County. It's a rivalry that I had a chance to play in for the Beddingfield side. And these are two teams that right now, both teams had good runs in the playoffs last season. And I'm going to look at the road team first, Fike. Fike, Coach Nelson has retired. Congratulations to Coach Nelson for the outstanding years of service you did in Wilson County schools and as the head coach of Fike. But there's a new coach in town. Coach Rocky Lewis, he comes from South Brunswick. Had a chance to speak with Coach Lewis last Friday night. Big plans for the Fike Golden Demons. Had a chance to talk to Coach Lawton. Big plans over there at Fike. And if you fight, it's what the slogan always says about the Golden Demons. Tradition continues. That's their slogan with football and basketball. It's going to continue. 9-4 last season, 6-1, first place in the conference. They lost last year in the third round. They got to 71st and just played a heavy stack 71st team. And we'll be talking more about 71st later on in the show. But if you fight, they still got a lot of great players. DJ Jones, Bud Woodard, Caleb Artis, Rodney Webb Jr. They're returning 11 starters on offense and defense. On the defense, you got Jamar Hill, 9 tackles per game. He was number 3 in the conference. You got a guy that I coached when he was in Pee Wee, Cameron Barbie, DN right there, tearing up the DN, getting in the backfield. You got Ellis, Nicholas Rogers, and on the offense, you got Cameron Pittman who threw for 1,000 yards, Josiah Artis, and then you got Bud Woodard, who was gone, but they still left a lot of things for Fike to do. So this is a Fike team under a new coach with a new style of offense, new style of defense, looking for big things with them under Coach Lewis. And this is one of the games you want to be able to watch and see. But they got to go to Beddingfield. I got to come home. Beddingfield said come home. So I'm coming home on week 1. And this game right here is going to be a good game. Had a chance to talk to 2 of my good friends that played for Beddingfield last year, Dylan and Zach, both from Beddingfield. And they told me that this team right here has got a bunch of scenarios they're looking at they can do. And when I went back and I looked at Beddingfield's schedule, they made it to the playoffs, got to the second round, had to go to Clinton, just ran up against a high-profile, octane offense in Clinton. But when you look at this season, this is what I'm looking at with Beddingfield. They can go 8-2 or 7-3. The toughest games they got that I see on their schedule right now is week 1 against Fike at home. Good thing is the Golden Demons are coming to your house to play this game. Then week 2, you got to roll down the Hunt. Another big rivalry game in Wilson County. That's going to be a tough one, but you hung with Hunt last year and only lost by, I think, 2 touchdowns. So that's a game that you can go back, look at the mistakes you made last year, because everybody on this team is still up there, and make this a good game. Then your next game is a road game against Green Central, the Battle of 58. Big game with Beddingfield and Green Central get together. Their rival schools, Stantonburg, Walsterburg, Snow Hill, that little area, that community, everybody knows each other. They're all family. They either go to Beddingfield or Green Central. So that's going to be a good game. So that's another one that Beddingfield's got to watch out for. But Beddingfield, this is my message. And I want the Bruins that's watching Grit and Grind to write this down and put in your locker. The time is now. Last year, we showed everybody what we can do. We got to the second round. We went to Clinton and we hit them with everything we had. We just ran out of firepower. But now everybody's back. It's the same team, same players. A lot of the people that were freshmen and sophomores now moved up to be sophomores and juniors. Some of the juniors are seniors. This team has a good experience and a lot of leadership where we can get a deep run in the 2A playoffs. Now you got Nash Central. That's your measuring stick game. Coming up in about 2 weeks, you want to go in at least 2-0 in that game. A lot of people are saying the Princeton game is one to circle, but I want Beddingfield to remember this. You only lost to Princeton by a 55-yard field goal with 3 seconds left on the clock that was an inch away from crossing the crossbars. Big things to look out for Beddingfield. It starts right here, and you got to treat every game Bruins as a playoff game because this Fike team is coming to Beddingfield knowing with a new coach, we got to get all these wins because at the end of the season, we want to win our conference, be able to host 1 to 2 home games, and have a deep run in the playoffs. Big game right here. That's the second game on the Grit and Grind. Stay tuned for these commercial breaks, and we'll be back for our third game as we load up the activity bus, travel down to Fayetteville to go visit our good friends at 71st. And we are back right here on the Grit and Grind. We're getting down to game 3. And this is a big game right here for two teams. 71st, the Eastern Regional Champs, took Hickory all the way in the state championship to the final minute 30 seconds where Hickory was able to pretty much grab that goal and win the game. If you're 71st, you lost nobody. So let's head down to 71st and talk about the Falcons of 71st in Fayetteville, North Carolina. This is going to be a good game. You got a 4A school, Richmond, that went 5-6, 5-1 last season. But when I looked at the Richmond schedule, they started off with 71st, the Eastern Regional Champs, powerhouse. Then they played Butler, who went 12-2 in 4A football. Cardinal Gibbons, 12-3, 2 playoff teams right there. Myers Park, 3A, 7-4, playoff team. Southern Lee, 3A, 6-5, playoff team. This Richmond team was battle tested, and it all started with the 71st game. The good thing was 71st went on the road and won this game on the road. This season, 71st, you get to host this game in week 1. And when I look at this team, Richmond, from last year to this year, Richmond had 63 kids on their roster last season. That's a deep roster. Majority of those juniors and seniors now, or either juniors are going up to be seniors, and the seniors have graduated. When I look at the roster this year, they're down to 36 kids, 35 kids. 35-63 is a big differential number right there, but this is still a school if you're 71st and you host them at home. They remember what you did in their house, and they saying, hey, we're going to bring our 35 kids down to Fayetteville. We're going to roll up in 71st from Lumberton, and we're going to try to get a win on your field and start your season off 0-1. Richmond's coached by Coach Dennis and Coach Teal. The 2 top receivers are gone, but they got a lot of kids that I've been watching on film that can fill in those voids for this Richmond team. But they got a hard game right here. They got a test because they got to play the reigning and defended 3A Eastern champs who are the runner-up to the state champs, Hickory, who did not lose nobody and gain more. And I want to say that again, did not lose nobody but gain more, because now those kids that were on JV, that are sophomores, they're juniors now on this varsity team. 71st is coached by Coach McLaurin. They went 15-1. They only suffered 1 loss, and that was 1 minute and 30 seconds left in the 4th quarter of a state championship. 7-0 in conference. I mean, everybody's coming back. DeAndre Nance, 1,600 yards passing last year. How many times did we call that name out on Grit and Grind? Nance. When we went to the 71st game, how many times did we hear the name Nance called on the PA system? They got Franklin, Frederick, and Nance again. All 3 of those guys rushed for over 1,500 yards each. They did not lose nobody on the defense. Kalen Lucas is still there. You got Jackson still there, Wallace and John Archer. This 71st team is battle tested. The first 2 seasons ago, they got to Northern Nash, lost in the East Regional Championship game in Death Valley. Then they hosted Northern Nash at 71st, won the game, got to the state championship. They lost nobody. So this team right now, if everybody stays healthy, they're looking at having a deep run and trying to get back to a state championship to win a state championship. This is going to be a good game. If you're Richmond, you got a lot. You can play spoiler. You can roll into 71st and spoil their opening night. But if you're 71st, you want to protect the house. You want to protect the home field. You want to go 7-0, undefeated like you did last season, win all these games, and get to the playoffs and have a good run. This is going to be a good pick right here between 2 teams. One team looking to play spoiler. One team looking to say, we got a mission to get back to a state championship. We got one more game we're going to break down right here on the Grit and Grind. But before that, we got a few commercial breaks. Stay tuned for our Grit and Grind primetime game of the week marquee game on the Grit and Grind on Studio 67.
Welcome to the Nash Community College Library. Located in Building A, this educational hub houses a world of resources awaiting exploration. The friendly library team stands ready at the service desk, offering assistance with research, citations, and engaging book recommendations. The fully equipped computer lab empowers students to excel in class projects with essential software, webcams, and headphones. Convenient printing services are also available. The library provides over 100 seats and study rooms, reservable for a seamless learning experience. Film enthusiasts delight in the extensive DVD collection, boasting mega hits and award-winning films. Embrace the digital realm with thousands of ebooks, audiobooks, and online articles accessible through the library webpage. For more information, visit nashcc.edu or call 252-443-4011.
And welcome back. It's time for the Marquee game on the Grit and Grind, our Grit and Grind primetime game of the week, where we'll be hanging out at on Friday night. And you know, we got to do it. It's Friday night. It's week 1. It wouldn't be me without doing it right here on the Grit and Grind. Ram Nation, stand up. It's time to stand up. It's week 1. I went down to Franklinton. Those kids are ready to play some football on a Friday night. They're ready to turn the lights on. And this is a team that we've been talking about last season, how it was a team that was young, but you saw them making strides, cutting back on penalties, winning some games, being and losing some very close games. This is a team that last week we laid out the blueprint of what they need to do to get to a playoff run and have a playoff berth. They got a hard test. They got the Apex Cougars coming into town. One thing, if you're Franklinton, it's week 1. You get to host this game at home, and that night you get the trophy presentation of being the Franklin County Grit and Grind Conference champs by beating Bunn and Lewisburg last season to win it. So you got a lot riding on this week 1 game. And when I look at this Apex team, they went 7-4, 5-2 last season. They were 4th in the conference. They lost in the first round to New Bern. But this Apex team lost a lot of seniors. They lost the quarterback, Kilmaker, 1,500 yards, Danzy, 1,900, Tate, 500, Jeffries, Harris, Artisan, Peters, averaged over 100 tackles. I mean, they just had so many players that they lost and some players they kept, that this may not be the powerhouse Apex team you played last season in their house. And if you're the Red Rams of Franklinton, that Red Ram means, so that's why we always say stand up, Franklinton, because you went 3-7 last season, 3-7, 2-4, and in week 1 you lost to Apex 48-0 in their house. But you know what we can do with that? We can ball that up and throw that in the trash, because it's a new season right here, Franklinton. And this is where it starts right here. Week 1, you got a young team now that's got experience, that can come back and now got that veteran leadership at juniors and seniors. You got guys now that know the offense. It's a new coach, but you had all summer to work on the offense and the defense. You're playing an Apex team that lost a lot of players. And with losing a lot of players, you can give yourself a chance to go in, and this is a winnable and stillable game. And it's a resume builder, because you want these resume builder games in non-conference, so when it's time for playoff selection, if you don't hit that automatic bid Power 6, they can look at the breakdown of the schedule and say, hey, this team plays some tough non-conference games, won some good non-conference games. We're going to give them a bid and give them a road game in the playoffs, and then you go in the playoffs and give yourself a chance. This game right here for Franklinton, a lot is riding to start your season. It's not a young team like last year. It's an experienced team. My rules and goals for Franklinton tomorrow night is, when they turn on the lights, tell yourself, I'm going to do my job. I'm not going to worry about the kid beside me, the student beside me. I'm going to do what the coach told me to do. I'm going to listen to my coaches. If they tell me to run 25 sweep, 25 dive, I'm going to run it. If they tell me to run that defense, don't blitz, stay home, I'm going to stay home. Because this game right here is the one on your resume that when they look at the selection is one they can say, they beat Apex at home. That's a good win. And Franklinton this season has the talent to get into the playoffs and have a good run in the playoffs. Cut back on the penalties. It's week 1. The lights are going to get turned on. You're going to get nervous. You're going to get jittery. You got to tell yourself, if we say we're going on 1, we're going on 1. If we're going on the hard count on 2, we're going on 2. Those are the things that you got to be mentally ready for this game, because this Apex team is looking like, we beat you 48-0 in our house. Well, let's do it again in your house. It's week 1, the season starts, and then like I told Beddingfield, if you're Franklinton, every game now counts to your playoff berth and what seat you want to have in the playoffs. I got high expectations for the Franklinton Red Rams. I'm going to say it again because I want you to get in your head. I want the students to put in their locker. Franklinton Red Rams, stand up. The time is now. This is Shawn on the Grit and Grind telling you that. We're getting ready to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back for the 5-minute quick picks right here on the Grit and Grind, brought to you by Studio 67 NCC.
Nash Community College offers welding technology as a degree, diploma, or certificate. In this 5-semester program, students learn how to draw and read blueprints, the welding process, and welding safety. Students develop and master their skills in the classroom environments and real-world situations in NCC welding shops. With this degree or certificate, students can work as welders in a variety of fields such as construction, fabrication, and industrial maintenance. Most NCC graduates start out as entry-level technicians or welding apprentices working within the community. For more information on welding at Nash Community College, visit nashcc.edu or call 252-451-8270.
And now it is time for the 5-minute quick pick on the Grit and Grind. Deryl sent his picks in. Like I said earlier, he's on vacation this week. He was unable to be here, but he sent his picks in. We know he's watching live right now. He's probably blowing up the comment box and blowing up my text box. As I'm getting text messages, I can hear the phone vibrating. So let's jump right into it. In the first game, I got to grab the helmet for this one. It's our good friends, the Bulldogs of Nash Central, the reigning and defending 2A Big East champs 3 years in a row for Nash Central are playing the 1A Tarboro runner-up conference champs, the Southeast Halifax Trojans. This is going to be a good game. Southeast Halifax, I had a chance to watch them play last season when they played WPA for the Tarboro Conference Championship. Nash Central, I had a chance to watch them last week at the Jamboree over at Fike. They look like they're focused. They look like they're back. It looks like the same Nash Central team we saw in Clinton that took Clinton all the way to the fourth quarter, to the end of the fourth quarter, to be able to build. That was one game out from getting to an Eastern Regional game to get to a state championship. I got my pick. Deryl sent his in. For Deryl, he's taking Nash Central. I'm going to go with Deryl. It's the Bulldogs game to win. Nash Central for the win. Start the season off 1-0. Our next game right here, both helmets, I'm going to grab both of them because it's just old school football at its finest. It's the Hunt High School Warriors versus the Northern Nash Knights. This game right here is one of these games. It's going to be a good defensive strategy game between both teams. Both teams are looking for a good run in the playoffs. Northern Nash got the 71st last year. Almost won that game to get back to a state championship. Hunt went out in the first round. I had a chance to watch both teams practice over the summer. Both teams are focused. Daryl's going to take Northern Nash for the win. I'm taking the Hunt Warriors on an upset. The Hunt Warriors get a win right here on the Grit and Grind. Our next game coming up will be the Southern Nash Firebirds from Southern Nash versus East Wake. Another good game right here. Third time these two teams have played each other week 1. Right now, Southern Nash, I believe, is 3-0. This will be the 4th time playing East Wake. This game is at Southern. I don't got to grab the Southern helmet. I just got to point to it because we already know. I watched Southern play at the Jamboree last week. Daryl's taking Southern. I got Southern, a Southern Nash win, and this will be a good test for Southern to see where they're at as they get ready to start their campaign in non-conference football play. Now let's roll down to Edgecombe County, Cougar Town, USA, Pine Tops, North Carolina for the Southwest Edgecombe Cougars, hosting their rival, the North Edgecombe Warriors. Good game, old rivalry in Edgecombe County. We don't have to talk about this one that long. You already know who I'm going to pick. I'm an honorary graduate of SWE. Give me the Southwest Edgecombe Cougars, and Deryl is going to side with me, and he's taking Southwest Edgecombe for the win over North Edgecombe. Our next game right here will be the Wilson Prep Academy versus Ayden Grifton. And I talked to WPA, had a chance to talk to Coach Dixon and Mr. Woodard, the executive director of WPA. Last year, they hosted this game at their house. This is the only loss they had to the third round of the playoffs in 1A football. Ayden Grifton, hashtag Go Chargers, old school football. We've been down there. We know all about Ayden Grifton, what the Chargers can do. This is the measuring stick game for WPA. I said it last year. I'll say it again. This is the measuring stick game. If you can go to Ayden Grifton and beat a team like that on the road in their house, that's a resume builder win. I made my pick. I'm taking the Tigers. Give me Tiger Pride. WPA for the win. Daryl's taking WPA on this one. Our next game, Whiteville versus Bunn. Had a chance to go to the Bunn's high school for one of their practices of the week, talk to Coach Andre, see some of the students and talk with them. This Bunn team is looking like the Bunn team we saw years ago. Old school Bunn, good defense, hard-nosed running the ball up and down the field. But they got a test. They got a team that they got to play Whiteville that got the Southwest Edgecombe in the playoffs. This Bunn team is looking to get back to old school Bunn football. I got my pick. I'm taking Bunn on this one. And if Daryl's taking Bunn, and for me, Bunn, this is a game that you can steal right here in the Canal Conference football. Our next game, Warren County, Vance County. Playing two counties separated between the borderline, an old rivalry right there. Vance County was the hottest team in 3A football last season, went 10-0, first round of the playoffs, lost to Terry Sanford at their house. Warren County, 1A, got to the playoffs, got to the second round. Good game right here between both schools. Hard pick because we'll be at Warren County next week, and I really think the Eagles could upset them. But when I looked at Vance County, they have not lost none of their players from last season. That was a young team. And that Terry Sanford loss, I think, got that team and taught them something to get them into spring and summer OTAs. I'm taking Vance County. Daryl's also taking Vance County for the win. Sorry, Warren County, but we'll see you next week. Our next game, the J.F. Well Warriors versus Ben L. Smith. J.F. Well in Oxford, North Carolina, taking the long activity bus ride to Greensboro, North Carolina, Four Season Boulevard to play Ben L. Smith. And I've been to a Ben L. Smith game. It gets like J.F. Well, pack everybody up in the city of Oxford and let's go to Greensboro, because in that stadium, it gets loud in there. Been to a bunch of games over there at Ben L. Smith. J.F. Webb, I said it last week, the blueprint. We saw the beginning phase of the blueprint last season, what Coach Gainey and his staff was able to do. Now it's time to see part two of the blueprint. Part two of the blueprint starts week one for the J.F. Well Warriors by rolling up in Ben L. Smith, beating a 3A powerhouse school, coming back, starting your campaign to get into the playoffs. I'm taking J.F. Webb. Daryl's taking J.F. Webb too. Now it's time for the grit and grind marquee games that we talked about right here on the grit and grind earlier on the show. Rocky Mount, Tarboro. We said earlier, the only thing that separates these schools is where you live at. If you live in Tarboro, you go to Tarboro. If you live on this side, you go to Rocky Mount. If you live in that little middle pocket area, you go to Southwest Edgecombe. That's what separates these two schools. Rocky Mount has to go to Tarboro. And what I always say about Tarboro when you got to go there and play, the intimidation factor they give you right there on 64, right when you get into town limits, the big billboard that says 8 state championships, all the great players in Tarboro, Todd Gurley's, everybody who's been through Tarboro High School, all on that billboard. It gives you that wow factor, like, wow, this is really the home of champions. But if you're Rocky Mount, you're saying, we've been to Tarboro. And I go back 4 seasons ago. Rocky Mount took Tarboro to the limit. That game was canceled because of a thunderstorm, and a lot of people said Rocky Mount could have stole that one. Rocky Mount's coming back loaded this year, Tarboro's come back loaded. This is going to probably be one of the best games right here in the eastern side of North Carolina. I'm going to go ahead and make my pick. As bad as I want to pick Rocky Mount, I just can't pick against Tarboro because all three of those running backs are back. I'm taking Tarboro. Deryl also is taking Tarboro. This is the first. If Deryl was here, I would say it. This is the first Deryl Matt like here. You never take Tarboro. He's taking Tarboro right here on the Grit and Grind. Our next game, Beddingfield and Fike. An old rivalry in Wilson County. I've already told both teams what they need to do. Cut back on the penalty. Listen to your coaches. Do your job. Another good game right here in our backyard that'll be going on Friday night. Deryl is going to take Fike on this one. Coach Lewis gets his first win with the Golden Demons on a Friday night as he's taking over the Fike program. I'm taking the Beddingfield Bruins to win this game. Coach Ben and Coach Barker get a win as they start their campaign of getting ready to get into the playoffs, and it starts week 1 for both of these teams. Our next game, Richmond and 71st at 71st. This is going to be a good game right here. I told you already on the breakdown what Richmond is looking for. They're looking to come play spoiler. 71st had a big win in their house last season. They're looking at coming to 71st and returning the favor. But 71st said, not today. We're home. We went undefeated at home last season. We're going to stay undefeated. Daryl's taking 71st. I'm taking 71st. And we'll see you 71st in 3 weeks on a Friday night. Now to the Grit and Grind prime time game of the week. The Friday night game that we will be at this Friday night. The Apex Cougars versus the Franklinton Red Rams. This game right here, like I said, for both teams, Apex has lost a lot of students. A lot of kids have graduated. They lost a lot. Franklinton was a young team that has matured and grown a lot and has showed that in the strides of the season last season. This team game right here for Franklinton is a game that if you get on your resume, it shows where you want to go and it helps you with seeding in the playoffs. I got to do it, Franklinton. Come here, Red Rams. Give me the Franklinton Red Rams to win this game. And Daryl's taking the Franklinton Red Rams. Franklinton goes 1-0. We will be in Franklinton tomorrow night to present them with their Grit and Grind Franklin County Conference Championship for week 1. This is Shawn, and for my co-host Deryl, who was not able to be here today, I'm getting ready to sign off. We want to thank everybody for tuning to the Grit and Grind on Studio 67 NCC. Of course, we want to thank the amazing production team of Nash Community College for all the hard work they done getting us ready for week 1. And I will see you next week, Thursday at 4 p.m. with Deryl for the Grit and Grind show on Studio 67 NCC.